Hi everyone, this is Sean with Team Ricochet Airsoft, and today we're going to be reviewing the G&P M16A3. Now the real steel M16A3 is used by the U.S. Navy for use by the Seabees, security units, and even Navy SEALs if they opt to use it. Now the M16A3 is pretty unique among the M16 line because it has the M16A2's front handguard, a top rail system and a detachable handle that is similar to the M16A4, and it has the M16A1's trigger grouping. Now this means it's a semi-automatic and fully automatic weapon only. There is no burst fire like the A4. Now even though this gun is used by the US Navy, it is still a pretty rare weapon to find and even more to shoot. So now that we've given you a brief history of the real steel M16A3, we're going to move on to our review of the G&P M16A3. Now one of the first things you're going to notice with this weapon is it's not overly heavy. It's about 6.9 pounds. It's very well constructed. It has an all-metal version 2 gearbox. The externals are metal where they would be on the real steel version. These metal parts include the takedown points, the one-piece barrel, the sights, the detachable handle, the top rail system, and the receiver. The rest of the gun is a pretty nice, durable plastic. It's not the best plastic out there, but for the price you pay for this gun, it's very nice. Some complaints that I do have with the plastic parts on this gun is the foregrip on this gun does wobble a little bit. I mean, it's not going anywhere, but it's just annoying. And I guess if it really annoys you that much, you can opt for the rail system or just buy the M16A4. The battery compartment is housed in the stock of the weapon. It does have a large type connector, and the stock is actually one of my favorite parts about this gun because G&P actually did their homework on this stock. They designed it to be lighter, more durable, and have a bigger battery compartment than most of your standard run-of-the-mill M16 style stocks. And they achieved all of this. Now to answer one of our subscribers' questions, the battery that I use in this gun is a large 9.6 volt 3800 millihenries battery. It gives you really good performance out of the gun without really taxing the gun too much. The gun itself does come with everything that you see here. It does come with a 120 round G&P mid-cap magazine. It does come with the gun itself, and it does have a carrying handle that is detachable. I personally have taken the carrying handle off and opted for the G&P replica of an ACOG, and I would highly recommend this scope for anyone that wants a really nice looking 4x zoom replica of an ACOG that has pretty decent eye relief. But that's only if you have the funds for this scope. This scope is not cheap. It's actually about 3/4 of the price that I paid for this weapon. Now, this gun does have its problems. For example, in a stereotypical G&P fashion, you pull the charging handle back, it doesn't do anything at all. I mean, you may as well fix the charging handle. It makes no difference whatsoever. To access the hop-up unit, you gotta pull this down, and there's your hop-up unit. You gotta adjust it accordingly. And to me, this is sort of annoying because if you don't have nails, it's actually kind of a pain in the butt to open. And to be perfectly honest, how much would it have cost G&P to actually make it so that when you pull the charging handle back, the breech opens up? The gun does come with an M120 high-speed motor. And as I said in my review of the Stoner 63, I am a fan of the M120 high-speed motor because it seems pretty reliable and gives you pretty good performance. The only complaint that I've come across with the M120 high-speed motor is when you shoot the weapon for a very prolonged period of time with not much of a breather, it gets warm, very warm, to the extent where you can feel it clear as day through the grip of the gun. Now, I've had this gun for 5 years, and no real issues have come of this problem or any issue at all with the motor, so I'm assuming this is just a trademark of the M120 high-speed motor. The gun is rated at 380 FPS out of the box. I've actually had my gun chronoed at exactly 380 FPS with .2s, so G&P's claim of 380 FPS is exactly spot on. But, considering the gun's shooting so hot, you may want to use a .25 UV since .2s are just going to go flying around all over the place. The gun is a fairly accurate weapon. It has an effective range of up to 190 feet, so that's pretty good for an out-of-the-box stock AEG. Its semi-automatic function is actually very usable. It's not the most accurate gun I have in semi-automatic, but You don't have to worry about jamming or trigger locks or anything like that. It will fire just as quick as you can pull the trigger. Now, one thing that is really important with this gun is it doesn't like high caps. It's very finicky when it comes to high cap magazines. It just doesn't seem to like them that much. So when you get this gun, or if you get this gun, make sure you get standards or mid cap magazines. Before I move on to the field test portion of this gun, G&P as manufacturer does do something pretty cool. If you go to their actual home webpage, you'll notice that they have a lot of different versions of the same exact gun. Well, the difference between these guns is the receiver. This particular gun, as you can tell, has the United States Marine Corps logo on it. I personally preferred this one. You can get this gun with a Navy logo, a Knights Armament logo. They have a decent amount to choose from. Another cool thing about G&Ps in general is the quality of their receivers. They are very nice receivers. I mean, you can't really tell right now, but this receiver is virtually mark-free. And I've had this gun for 5 years, and I've taken it through thorn bushes, through mud, rain. I've fallen down with the gun. Basically, anything that could happen to a gun weather-wise has happened to this gun, and it's still going. So, now that we have given you a brief overview of the G&P M16A3, let's go do some target shooting with it and see how it performs. Alright, this is the field test portion for the G&P M16A3. I only have 2 targets today. They are marked in white on trees. The first one is at 88 feet and the other one is at 151 feet. I will be providing close-ups of each target so you can see the BB trajectories better. And with that said, let's start shooting some BBs. I will now be engaging the 88-foot marker, at first in semi-automatic and then a quick burst in full. I will do the same for the 151-foot marker. As you can tell, at 88 feet, semi-automatic is pretty effective. Let's switch to full. Full auto, not a big issue at 88 feet. Let's switch off to 151 feet now. This is a close-up of the 151-foot marker. I will again engage in semi and full automatic. So semi-automatic is still effective up to 151 feet. Let's switch it over to full. As you can tell, full automatic is still effective at 151 feet and may be your preference of choice for shooting. Okay, so I have received both targets from the trees that I attached them to. And as you can tell from the 88-foot marker, there is absolutely no issues whatsoever with hitting it. Every single shot punctured it. I mean, we got like 2 dimples, 4 dimples total. The rest were penetrated. We actually have some on the diamond, which is a first for one of my airsoft reviews. And for those of you who saw the review on the Stoner and the Magpul PTS Masada, they were not leaving holes quite like this or as consistently. And you can definitely see that when you switch off to 151 feet. Again, you can definitely see all the penetration right here. You can see a little bit more dimples, but it's definitely a lot of penetration, as you can tell by the holes. So this is confirmation of what a 380 FPS gun will do at even 151 feet. Okay, so I have the 2 targets that I was shooting at. And as you can tell from the 88-foot marker, accuracy is not a big issue. You can actually tell that some of the shots landed inside the diamond and completely punctured the target. And as for the most part, the majority of the shots punctured the target. And we only have actually 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 dimples total. The rest is just marks from being on a tree. So this is pretty effective at 88 feet. And the penetration power does not fade when you almost double the distance. At 151 feet, you can tell that the accuracy is starting to fade. The shots, for the most part, are at the middle of the diamond on down, but you're still hitting with some accuracy because 2 of the shots actually punctured almost right within the diamond. They're right on the outside. We have a couple up here, we have some groupings over here, and still just a lot of penetration power. And if you look at my reviews on the Stoner and the Magpul PTS Masada, we got maybe 1 to 3 penetration marks. This is still like 10 on the 151-foot marker. So even looking at 151 feet, it's not difficult to believe that at 190 feet is the maximum accuracy for this gun. It can still reach out and hit people up to there. So Now that we've looked at the targets, let's wrap up this review. Alright, so despite the G&P M16A3's issues of having a wobbly foregrip, a stock that is beginning to creak after 5 years of use, and the fact that it absolutely hates high-cap magazines and kind of forces you to use mid-caps and standards, it's still a great gun, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because it's not an expensive weapon. This gun can be found for today as low as $230 on eHobby Asia, or you can go to Red Wolf Airsoft and get the same version of this gun with a 203 launcher mounted on the bottom for $333. And for that price, you're getting a gun that's doing 380 FPS, 15 BBs a second, and an effective range of up to 190 feet out of the box, stock, nothing else done to it. And that is a pretty hard claim to do for that kind of price while offering reliable externals that to this day are virtually markless on this gun, with the exception of the stock. And the fact that the gun is very reliable. It's 5 years old and I've had no issues with it whatsoever. And other than that, alright, so in conclusion, I'm going to go ahead and give the G&P a 9 out of 10, despite the fact that it has a wobbly forestock or stock that's beginning to creak after 5 years of use, and the fact that it does not like high caps at all and kind of forces you to buy mid caps or standards if you don't have them. The gun is still a great gun, and these are just minor issues. This gun can be found for as low as $230 today and up to $333 if you want a version of this gun mounted with an M203 on the bottom. The gun does offer 380 FPS out of the box, 15 BBs a second thanks to the M120 high-speed motor, and it has an effective range of up to 190 feet. And there's nothing done to this gun. Anyone that gets... So, in conclusion, the G&P M16A3 is a gun that does have some minor issues. It has a wobbly foregrip, it has a stock that's beginning to creak after 5 years of use, and it does not like high caps whatsoever. It basically forces you to use mid caps or standards. But despite these issues, the gun is a solid weapon. Now I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because it offers you 380 FPS out of the box confirmed, 15 BBs a second, and an effective range up to 190 feet. And if this wasn't enough for you, the gun has very durable externals that you can beat all over the place, and they will still look good and function well. And most importantly, the gun itself is reliable. And that is what really sets this gun apart from any other cheap gun that has a high FPS rating. Is this gun is 5 years old, and I've never had one single issue with it revolving around maintenance. So, it's a great gun, and you will not be let down by it. Now, one other thing before I close off this review is, for those of you who are looking at a different gun because you just don't like the M16A3 because it doesn't have rails or something like that, any M16 series made by G&P has the exact same internals as this gun. So if you're looking at the M16A4, it is virtually the same gun as this, minus the rail system, covers, and things of that nature. I'm Sean with Team Ricochet Airsoft, and thank you for watching my review of the G&P M16A3. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment box below. We'll try and work them in as best as we can. And if you want to see some footage of this gun in action, feel free to look at some of our game footage. And thank you.